Taylor. How are you doing? Hello, hello, hello. Wait, look. I'm supposed to invite. Is she in here? I have a request. Hi, hi. Hi.
Hi. Look at us making it happen.
Look, see this shirt that I wore?
I love it.
Isn't that great?
I was gonna wear one of my shirts, but they're only like samples. I don't have them like up or available because it's complicated. So I was like, let me just hold off. Let me just you know, a lot has happened.
You've got mock-ups of merch.
I got mock-ups. But you hit a new number. I saw.
I did. It's been insane the past
Yeah.
couple days. Like
Racial equity insights. I think that post did
it
a
does it.
lot.
So I posted that video of that woman that called me honey and then proceeded to go
Wait, no, I'm sorry. I didn't see. Wait, stop. Wait.
So
Okay.
she had done a stitch of my video. I had done a response video to somebody that was um talking about like white people in our spaces teaching anti-racism, and she comes through, she's like, honey, white people have been in your spaces free, and just goes off. And so it was a long one. It's like a minute, so I couldn't stitch it back. And plus I'm like, let me have some fun with this one because it's a minute of her spewing fucking nonsense, right? Hi to everybody
Yeah.
coming in. um
Hi.
so I respond back, and so you'll have to watch it when it's done. So I would like kind of pop in and cut her off and everything. So she's talking about like what should say, critical race theory, that she doesn't want her grandson have it taught to her. She looks like she's 35, but that's none of my business. And then says that by saying that Black people are the people that the authorities on anti-racism training is racist. And she's like, see what I did there? I flipped it. And I'm like, I mean, it was hilarious. But here's what happened is that video blew up. Like I posted it. I didn't
Really?
yes.
Huh.
And I don't, we've talked about this. I don't do videos for views. I don't do videos for like, I do it because it's what I'm thinking. But it happened and it reached like a ton of people. So
Really?
between that and people just kind of recommending my account, it's now like I'm at 81,000 and I was at 65,000 3 days ago. I mean, I'll take it. It's great.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
yeah.
At
And it's
least they
been
know what
okay.
they're getting.
Yeah. And it's been, yes, right.
Because you know what I
Here's what
mean?
you're walking into.
Because you could get popping off a random video, which has happened. Well, whatever. My name is my name, so like you're gonna figure it out. But like I remember Suji as saying that she was like, these people came in thinking it was Betty White and Golden
Right.
Girls. I was like, at least your people gonna know,
Right. Right.
like extra clear.
And everybody's been behaving so far. Because that's the other thing. When you have like these mass numbers,
Yeah,
you're like,
I'm getting a mixture because I've gotten a boost in the last like 10,000 more followers in the last couple days, and I'm like, okay. Now it's just like another group of people that's gonna be like, well, but what about if can I ask you a question? What's the
we
a
need
bunch more
to,
people?
I feel like, we need to do like a collab video of what is okay to ask here and what is okay to ask here, and just stop having people treat us the exact same way. That's something that I've been thinking about the last couple of days is people treat us the exact same.
They're making us like a
A
like a
package
two
deal.
for one.
Yes.
But
Yes.
we're two different people who like each other and talk. Our accounts are both Black
Mm-hmm.
women
Mm-hmm.
talking about being Black women,
Mm-hmm.
and our goal is to help generally.
Mm-hmm.
But the way in which we communicate, our backgrounds, our colloquialisms, they're going to be different. Our
Yes.
goals of how our strategies are going to be different, and that's okay. But I
Right.
think people are starting to think it's like a if you And if me, then you, and that is
Mhm.
absolutely not what I want to be sending your way either,
No.
because there's grade levels here.
Right. Right.
And I don't
Right.
want it to be like levels of mean, because I get called mean. And I know if I get called mean, I can't even imagine. And then it's like, I don't think that should, I don't like that.
No. I yeah. It's so wild. I had a lady, you said mean, and I had a lady, she ended up deleting her whole account, which is hilarious to me. I'm like, you don't have to go
What?
that far.
Like, we don't know you. And like the fact that you can do that, by the way, off of just
Right.
insulting us. But okay, go ahead.
So I had done the video about like, not doing the not claiming white women or not claiming white people, or the case may be. And so she comes through and she's like, now tell us what's needed. As you expected, I had a response back to that. And so then she comes back. I'm like, you didn't ask me a question. So the whole kind of exchange. And she's like, I did ask you a question. I'm like, no, you stated what you wanted. And then she goes into saying, she's basically saying that everything I'm feeling is based off of my hatred for her and like my rage. And I was like, let me tell you about how it feels to not actually care about somebody. That means I don't have any feelings towards you at all. That doesn't mean I'm not going to tell you about who you are. And then when somebody else made a comment to her about her behavior, she of course was like, I can see what you mean.
I see, that is what I won't tolerate. But okay. Okay, then what did that person do though? So
Well,
this
that
is
person was fine. I mean, they made the statement.
no. I think that is fine, but
Yeah.
I feel like that's the opportunity for the person who explained it and they said, "I get that." That person should be like, "Yeah, don't." You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Right.
Don't you get it now? I'm just regurgitating. You only get it because white supremacy. That part I think is
Being missed.
important and can change and could help diminish the amount that happens, because I just noticed the difference where people will insult me.
Yeah.
One, I'll go, hey, I'm not Black Google.
Right.
And then immediately she said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I've been here for a long time. I should know better. I will do better. And someone comes in and says, well, you could, and they said no. They immediately came back and said, no, I should have known better. That was not acceptable.
Right.
Now there's another person that will come on, insult me, and then they go, eventually this man apologizes. But meanwhile, now 6, 7 people have jumped in going, no, he has a point. He has a point. He's apologized, but he hasn't gone back
Right.
and commented back to those people who gave him credit for stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yes. Yes. That's the part
because
that's
they're still
missing.
stuck with you.
Yeah, that's the part that's missing. You make a great point. Like if you're going to collect somebody in the comments, and I think that's why I've told people not to do it, because there's not that second part of it of saying, yes, what I'm telling you is this behavior is, this shirt feels funky. Like a
Like not
neckline.
sitting
Like
right. Is it unisex or is it like
I haven't worn it in forever, so I think that I'm probably gonna
you
end
just
up
gotta.
changing. But so that response of when you correct somebody in somebody else's space and that person is responsive to you, that follow-up saying, don't acknowledge what I said. All I said was what the original poster just said.
I see, because you don't want to even hear. You're saying like you didn't want to hear in the first place someone regurgitated to correct that person because you already said what you said.
Mm-hmm. But
You
if
said
you're
what you
going to
said.
regurgitate it and somebody responds to you instead of me, then in that moment, here's your moment to show that you actually are working on being an anti-racist and saying, don't listen to my voice over this Black woman's voice.
Right.
She just told you what I said too. You like it better because it came from you or came from me, so that it looks like you. It's the same thing where somebody commented and said, you said something like, no, TikTok comments are not too short. You can do more than one comment. You can do more than one comment. You can do more than one comment. I will die on that hill.
Like, honestly, and they call Black people lazy. They'd be like, oh, these are so many reasons I can't.
Again, it's the comment link. It's like,
It's just
no,
like,
it's not.
Honestly, I find a way. So
yes, but it also speaks to the same thing of like, well, what about engagement? Then type out your whole thought. Like don't. But it's that part of it. Like if you really want to show that you are being an anti-racist, then make sure that you call back the attention of the Black voice that spoke. And then what I was going to say is that somebody said, I like the way that you said this in such a nice tone and a calm tone. And I specifically said, would you have liked this message if my tone were different?
Yep.
And I didn't get a response back from that person, from other people. But that's another thing too, is that I get a lot of how my voice sounds. I know how my tone sounds. I know my inflection. I know how I speak. I know how I talk. But anybody who's been here for a while knows that that voice that you get in the morning can very quickly change to the afternoon, depending on how people act. So
yeah,
my high can go like a high, and it's, but the message, like, you should still receive it either way, right? It doesn't matter.
You should be grateful you're getting whatever it is. And I just posted today a message that was great. It was an analogy from another creator, and he was saying, if your house is on fire, you don't get annoyed that the alarm is buzzing so loud and obnoxious. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to jar you a little bit. Like, get over it. At least you know now. This is information you didn't have before. Okay, you didn't get it in a soothing tone. Shut up. How about you shut up? Yep. Like, I don't want to hear that you liked it. I don't want to hear your review of my delivery, of the words I've used, especially. I think it's also based in that. Like, what makes you think you have the thing that needs to be worked around? Like, thank you for doing it the right way. Like, you know what that is. It's honestly probably better if we scream in your face.
Honestly, it is. Honestly, it is. It's also very important to remember, like we talked about this, or I say it a lot, the active anti-racism. You're never going to be done with it. And you're never going to be further ahead than a Black person, an Indigenous person, or a person of color. You will never be further ahead. There's also the thing of, let's stop talking about making it a race. It's not a race to see who gets to the end faster. It's not a race to see who gets less problematic faster. The idea is to have everybody as a whole become anti-racist. But because of white supremacy culture and because of how the world and society is created, everything is a competition. Everything's everything's competition.
It's me. Yes. Everything is, how am I showing? How am I ranking against others? And that's why a while ago I commented, you shouldn't be thinking it is your duty to call out racists, because that means you are not focusing. That means you think you are in a place beyond another person to look back and be like, oh honey, don't you know we call them BIPOC now? Like, that's not it. You're doing it wrong, right? Because you're right. So shut up and keep it moving. Keep moving forward. Keep learning. Building on your experiences, because you're not done.
No.
Right now, there's stuff you're saying that you will regret later. Not regret, but maybe look back on and go like, ooh, because you're learning.
Right.
I don't want an apology every time.
Thank you. That ties in my video this morning about not needing an apology, because I also see that, this, when we have new people come in, we see a lot of the behavior that we have addressed with our audience and said, like, let's not do this. So there's a lot of the apologies, a lot of, I'm so sorry this happened, or I'm so sorry for white people, or I'm so sorry on behalf of white people. First of all, and this is for everybody here, you do not have to apologize for behavior that is not yours. That is what has people thinking that we want you to apologize for your ancestors. That's not what we want. We want accountability. We want changed behavior. Also, that whole apology thing is, and somebody wanted some nuance, so maybe this helps with it. I don't know if they're here. But an apology is not for the person that was harmed, not the words. Those words, I'm sorry, is to feel as a way to assuage somebody's guilt, right? If you say, I'm sorry, then you feel like I said the right words. Now I don't have to feel guilty anymore. And if that person doesn't accept it, then it's on them. And that is completely incorrect, right?
You're requesting acceptance of your apology. So you're asking for something when you're apologizing, if that's how you're doing it. You're requesting forgiveness. So now you're asking me to forgive you for either something else or something, or now I have to say, no, it wasn't you. And now it's about you.
Now the onus is on the person that was harmed.
It should be a full circle statement. If you truly are apologizing, like, it don't have to have the words I'm sorry in it. And I've said that before. Apologies don't have to have the word apologize or sorry. It can be, thank you for telling me. I will never do that again.
Yes.
When someone tells you.
Right.
And if they don't tell you and you just notice on your own that you've done something problematic and now you want to not do that anymore, just don't do it anymore.
Just don't do it anymore.
Don't come to my DMs to tell me, hey, I did that thing to you that you are complaining about. I'm sorry. I didn't need that.
No,
That's
because what it does is it re-traumatizes you. Like
right.
that's the result is when you go with this lengthy apology of I am so sorry that I called you this or I did that. Now I'm remembering in that moment when you called me out of my name or when you did that. And now anything else that you said is gone. I'm just remembering that. As opposed to, and I love how you say this, thank you for telling me this, or thank you for setting that boundary with me, or thank you for letting me know. Now I know what not to do going forward. And then the way to actually make sure that apology is done, you just don't do the thing going forward. Right? It's not about absolution. It's not about like going to the person that you hurt and saying, please forgive me. Please, I'm so sorry. No.
Does that person feel better? That should be what you care about. Whether you're forgiven is not the answer. Does that person feel heard? Does that person feel understood? And they won't know that until you show different. And honestly, you could say whatever. You could say, I'm not sorry. But then in 6 months, be like, look, I was listening and I didn't realize I was listening because blah, 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 blah. Here's what I've learned from that thing. And I'm doing whatever. Listen, there's just better ways. It doesn't have to be in that moment. It doesn't have to be, I'm sorry. You just do it better. We're not thinking about you internet people, especially if we have thousands. Like the idea that someone like will come into my DMs and be like, hey, this is how I personally offended you before. And I want to apologize. Well, no,
I don't remember what you did. Right.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about it, but now I hate you. So now you're racist. So, you know.
It's also the fact that, we interact with so many people. And so do the people that are commenting with us. Like there are people that don't create content, but they create comments, which I talked about that before, that comment creator, which I love people like that. But there's so much exchange where you're running across people. Yes, there are people that you interact with all the time and you develop maybe a better relationship or a deeper one, but it's that parasocial relationships that we talk about again. If you said something to me, and let's say I did a response video back to you, in the 60 seconds that it took me to record, let's say the 5 minutes, with barring any type of editing, correcting, in the 5 minutes it took me to record that video, those are the 5 minutes that I gave you my attention, and after that it's gone. And bringing it back to me, now I have to go back and figure out what you said and then get mad at you again.
Yeah.
All because I don't even know your real name. I know your username. Like I'm not like, we're here to help people learn, but I'm not a therapist. You're not a therapist.
Right.
We just lived experiences.
And we just are some reason putting ourselves in this position voluntarily
on purpose, doing it on purpose.
My dad will never understand it. I could tell him I got 100 whatever thousand followers. He was like, okay, so how many dollars is that? And I was like, oh no. No.
How many dollars is that? That is 67 cents. Thank you.
That is 3 cents alive, actually. So he's like, I'm an immigrant's daughter, okay? He's like, I don't understand. Like, no, it's about what's right, you know? The future is something else. Anyway. Like,
it's like, I tried to tell my mom about it, and she's just like, my mom's 71 years old though too, and I was just like, you know what?
Oh, he's 78. So yeah.
Yeah. So being with my mom is 71, and we have conversations. And I remember one time we were talking, and she was like, I just don't understand how somebody can hate somebody else for the color of their skin. And I thought to myself, this is my mom still thinking this at 71.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
She was.
And at the flip, my mom was like, at the same, my mom had the nerve, well, not the nerve, but she said she has been very, like, she's been a colorblind type of person, but truly, like, before, like, she won't say it now.
Right.
But before, she, like, wouldn't ask me the race of my boyfriends until she'd be like, oh my God, I never thought to ask. I really guess I don't. So, like, a little bit like that. And, but then she would also maybe say racism can go both ways, because she would not know prejudice versus racism. And she might say, like, I was the only way. But I talked to her,
Yeah.
and she is 60 something, and she learns and says, oh, I will never say that again. Got it. Understood. And if she can do it, I want to hear complaints from people like that. Like her daughter comes to her like, don't. And she might get a little, and that's the true mark of like, well, this is my daughter. She's telling me this ain't right. And even if I don't figure it out right now, I'll figure it out. But like, and you know, like I just don't, I'm not here for some of that. But I definitely, I'm nervous about the questions. If we both put out questions that people can ask, you know, it's just like you give them this. I gave one book recommendation, and they were like, "Okay, what about for 8-year-olds specifically?" Like, what? I have no children. I'm not a. I'm not a library.
There's also like this. Yes, there's the part of the mods coming in quick. The mods are phenomenal.
Right?
There's somebody came through and I saw the comment. It was gone quick, but it said something like, why can't I find a Black person on TikTok not talking about race? Here's a thought: just get off fucking TikTok then. But like the thing that's important to remember is when we do this work, like 60-second videos or maybe even a 3-minute video, it's a starting point.
Yeah.
And it's important to recognize this. You know, we do what we do. We both love it for whatever fucking reason why we love it, but we do.
It's just, you know,
it's here.
Sometimes.
But it's a starting point, right? It's just where we jump off. And you know, I know that you and I have talked about a few things that can possibly expand what we do. But what I can say is until that happens, you're still going to, it's starting points. It's like where you can start. Like this is a thinking.
It's a prompt. It's a critical thinking prompt. Remember that concept? Remember? Like everyone want to talk about critical race theory. It's not even being taught. Can we talk about critical thinking? Let's get critical thinking passed. Like let's totally let them do whatever they want. Teach critical thinking and the rest will be done. Let them have their own brains, and we don't have to worry as much about what books are banned. They have the internet, okay? They are they're like on mail-in ballots and stuff. If we focus on what we can do, I don't remember why I was on this train. I was like, oh,
I'm with it too. I'm like, yeah,
critical thinking. Like, let's get that popping first. Let's be like,
yeah.
So when we say something, whether it sounds harsh or it's a blanket statement or whatever, it is not the best way to look at that is a critical thinking prompt. Whether you agree or not, it's what's out there. It's what we think. So now what are you going to do with it? Understand it, try to understand it. I just don't see why people are so quick to try to find something wrong with it.
Should we go into that? It's how it's delivered. It's how the message is delivered, right? So let's break this down. There's already the thought that Black women are devalued in some way, even though, you know, this country was built on our backs and we will fight harder for anybody else, right? So if we can get somebody, the layers that we have to do to break past white supremacy culture is insane. So first we get somebody to believe us, or at least hear us. Start with that. I jumped way ahead. Let me pull it back. Pull it back.
You in college? Wait.
I know. I got excited. We're going to chalk it up to the wine that I've sipped on. So first they have to listen to, like, hear us, right? So listen to us, hear us, because listening and hearing are two very different things. And then after that, actually believe what we say. Because
the first part, they have to stop talking first. You forget. Because if they can't, because they'll be like, no, I'm listening. And then they do that thing where you go, I know. Have you ever noticed that? I watch that on stuff a lot. People respond like while someone is talking, they're like, I understand, I know. I'm like, how could you? I'm still saying it.
Right. I haven't finished my thought. How do you know? So we get them to stop talking.
Yeah.
We get them to listen and then actually hear us and then believe us.
Right.
But then from the believing of us, believe everything that we say and then not try to make it better. Because how many times have you also made a video and somebody comes through in addition to
like way to piggyback off my work, bitch. Like I did all of it, and you come in at the end with and also why was what I said not good enough?
There it is. Was it not good enough? And I think, and this is really important for anybody who's in here, tell your friends. And this can go, I will, you know what, I'm feeling giving tonight. I know, it's a rare night. But I'm going to let you all take this one past anti-racism work. If somebody tells you something that they are an expert on, do not try to piggyback on what they said unless they ask you for the addition. Wait for that. It's the same thing. You go to class, let's say that you're taking calculus and you're not a math expert, and your math professor gives you this whole lesson on how to break down variables, integers, everything else. And you don't know the class. And when they're done, you're like, okay, but in addition to that, what I think you should do is carry the 1 and carry the 2. Are you fucking kidding me? Now you're talking about like algebra, and this teacher's talking about calculus, and all because you could not just say thank you.
Right. Take that.
Now you derailed the conversation because now the professor is like, well, let's go back to talk about algebra, when that was never fucking part of the conversation.
And everybody else in the room was like, what? Wait,
yes.
Am I missing something? Wait,
yes, that's what happens. Everybody else in the room is like, ooh, carry the 1. And now the original conversation is gone. Do I need a whiteboard for that wall right there? I think I do.
Well, don't ask me because if I could just everywhere. Plus, I got one right here. So,
but yes.
Don't tell an educator how to educate. Exactly. Don't come in and be like, well, and in addition to that, I see what you're saying because this thing about me. I don't like that. Especially when it comes to certain things. If I'm talking about, I don't want to take in Black trauma, guess what else I don't want to take in, but I also don't need to take in my comments, is Holocaust trauma. Why would white people, because like there's so many levels to this conversation, right? So many levels. I don't even know how to, it's anti-Black.
Yep.
Right. But that's where it all starts. That's where anti-Semitism started. If you know, the Nazis modeled after America. And in fact, they thought America was too strict. They were like, no way they actually enforce these things. And I do want to talk about that. And like my advice, if anybody is here, read this book.
What book is that?
It's called Caste by Isabel Wilkerson. It was CASTE. It was published in 2020, so it is up to date, and it goes over the 3 caste systems that have existed so far that are comparable. The American caste system, Black and white, the caste system of Nazi Germany, and the caste system in India, the official caste system that people know about. And it is about those systems and understanding how they were created purposefully, intentionally, and how they modeled here. So if we think, can we just talk about the original thing without bringing something else into it? But I realize I derailed because this Whoopi thing. It's like, and her last name is Goldberg. It's not really, but people come into my comments to relate, and the Jewish TikTok does not understand that it is not the same, because you can do that to me. The fact that you can come into my comments and traumatize me without even knowing it,
right?
Because I specifically have the original, like, I don't want to hear about it either.
Yeah.
But you clearly do, because you're trauma dumping it. You know what I mean? So
yep.
It is layers to it, and context matters. And like, I don't even care what she said. It just sounds like you finally got something on like, it sounds like you got a Black woman and not like she's just a person. they're words, it's a conversation. It's
Right.
like, we could talk about this. Like, let's have the conversation about it. But, you know, the
I
news.
think we
Simply
talked about
does the
this one
news.
Sunday. And one of the things I would love to see unlearned is this need to trauma dump as a way to relate to somebody, right? The trauma bonding. That trauma bonding is a problem, that trying to draw some sort of parallel to make it more familiar to you to understand. And before any excuses come through, there are, you can do this by yourself. You
I
can
do not care
draw
if
a
you're
parallel.
neurodivergent. Please do
You
not
can
come in
draw a
here
parallel.
with
Yes.
neurodivergent.
A parallel can be drawn without being shared. That's the thought that I've been trying to get to. If you in your head need to draw that parallel, that's fine. Oh, I'm glad I got to that point. If you need to draw the parallel in your head for it to make sense, that is fine. Then you take it away from the comment section. You take it away from the person that gave you this lesson, and you write in a fucking journal, right? Like, you take it away from the person outside of there.
Yes.
We don't have to have, I don't need to hear what situation happened for you to understand this, because that just means that my experience that I just shared with you, the labor that I just took to tell you about what happened to me, and this is why it's anti-Black. And you have to say, no, I get that. I have red hair, and I was teased about red hair because that happened to me in once in my comments. If that's what you have to say to me to say that you understand it, that means that you didn't hear me.
Yeah.
Right? You didn't hear me. You can simply say, thank you for sharing that experience. That makes sense to me. It's given me something to think about. I'm going to go think on it, and I will be back later. And then come back later. I don't need to know the process that you went through. I don't need the progress report, but just come back here and have this new level of learning, or this new layer of anti-racism to add to your tool belt. Like, oh God, I get this. I get this.
And
We have been
security when you communicate with us. That's your gift. You don't need to show it to us.
Black women and Black femmes have been internalizing our shit for years because we've been so heavily devalued that I don't have space for anybody else's stuff. Like,
right. And it assumes that our only stuff is the stuff we're sharing with you.
Right.
You don't know what other triggers you're hitting. I saw a video by Melanin Maven, and I love her. She's always got these beautiful braids and like very extravagant colors. She, you know, healing her inner self through her hair and stuff. And she was saying, you know, people compliment her on, you know, you look great without makeup. I love that you don't wear makeup. But she's like, I hear that you're complimenting me, but I have specific trauma related to makeup and the things my mother said to me the first time I bought a lot of makeup and put it on. And you don't know what somebody else is going through, especially a Black woman, and to try to relate is energy spent in the wrong direction. Trying to relate experiences. Don't. Thank you. I will take this. I never considered it this way. I'm going to take this back with me and munch on it for a while. I love to think that you're going to take your time with something I've said. I don't need an immediate, this is work.
Yes, that's a great point. Like, if you say that in the video, or you say in the comments like, oh my God, it makes sense to me, then okay, great. But how many times did you listen to it? Because I can pack a lot of information in 60 seconds. I certainly can, right? And that's why I made the video of, before you comment, to like listen to it again, and then listen to it again, and then listen to it again. Because I can promise you in 60 seconds, I'm going to hit a couple different points, and you as well. And if you listen to it once, you're going to catch one thing, and that's what you grab onto. But then you might miss that second part. The apology video is a good point. Like, don't say I'm sorry. And then people just stop saying I'm sorry, but then they forget that other part of, but you have to change your behavior. Like, just because we're saying don't say I'm sorry does not mean that you don't actually do something.
And like, don't actually be better.
You have, right? It's almost like, it's like taking chicken out of the freezer, but then not cooking it.
Right. Oh, that made me feel weird. That gave me like a weird.
It's gross, right? Like, oh, I remember to take the chicken out. I did that part, but I didn't let it cook. I didn't cook it, so now I've got salmonella. But hey, I remember to take the chicken out. Who fucking
That's all.
cares?
That's all. Got it. Ready for the next one. I told you everything in it. Wait, what?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I, I and then they're
Hi,
like,
Coral.
now what? What are you cooking? Like they're
Right.
done.
And it's important to also remember that, like, again, we started off again with the jumping point. Don't just wait for us to record a video to be like, well, it's time for me to learn something.
Yeah.
Because there are days, I can tell you right now, there's a solid chance I'm not going to make any content tomorrow. Good chance.
I don't know how, I can't even imagine, like, I let myself just be at this point because I remember feeling like, oh, I don't. But then there'll be days where I'm like, 12 videos. I don't know. And then I'm like, I never want to do this again. You know? And I'm just like, nope, can't do it. Don't want to. Don't even want to look at my drafts. I hate everything. And then I end up back here again. And
I think the reason why, I think the only reason why that I'm able to keep creating content is because I do it on the fly. Like, I'm never going to be that person that plans things out. In my thirst trapping days, the days of yore, you know,
oh my God,
I would maybe
such
have
innocent days.
Somebody was deep in my videos, like liking videos, like from when I first joined TikTok, and I was like, oh, look at her. She was being a flute. She was being a little flute. But that was about the most effort that I did was like the before and after. Like, I just don't do it. And it's because the things that come to mind are off the top of my head. And hold on, I just saw a comment. I'm trying to learn. Are there any experiences you feel a white woman can empathize? No.
Why?
No.
Why? Wait.
No.
Trying to learn what? Wait. What are you trying to learn?
That's,
no. I think, you know what? Question. What are you trying to learn?
Let's give that a little attention. Let's give that a little attention. What are you wanting to learn that you need to empathize and relate to? I'm going to give you a minute to type that up. The pancakes. No, you're welcome. If you want to tell us what you want to learn, we can go further. But
I think it's probably no. And that the idea of learning, like, I want to learn.
Yes.
It's like, what? Like, you want to learn about Black or don't? You want to learn how to talk to us? Don't. Do you want to learn about your history? Do.
Learning your place. So you can learn your place without relating or empathizing to us at all. What you have to do is listen to us and then do what we say. And I know that is, and I've realized this now, like, this thought's coming to me too again. I'm having those moments of like where thoughts come to my head. I understand the problem is that saying, listen to us, listen to Black women. That is such a, wait a minute, that confidence of a white woman got you a promotion? Snaps back. But the part of listening to Black women, which is so difficult, is again, because even though we are responsible for so much, we are still considered less than, right? Yeah. So listening to us is a concept that is completely foreign, because why would I listen to a Black voice, right?
And then they'd be like, and then what?
Right.
And I'm like,
and especially listening to a Black voice that is telling you about yourself.
That's mean.
Why are you being so mean?
Black voice?
I'm just trying. Why are you being so mean?
I just try to learn. Like, well, this is how you're gonna learn. Sometimes you learn by scraping your knee and then realizing, oh, maybe I should wear pads. Sometimes you know, I think it's better that you wait, watch what other people are doing, and then take your cue from like what they're doing right and wrong and what seems to be the reaction. But that's just me. That's just a survivor, you know, a person who waits a bit because we had to, you know, observe our environment, consider other people first. Right. Y'all think you're the first one to ever think of a thing. I don't know if TikTok didn't teach you, you don't have that many original thoughts. Like, I don't understand. Y'all come in like, someone just says like, what's with the hi? I'm gonna go through some of your videos, but I just want to know what that's about. So you watched one video, saw my necklace, and was like, What's with that? I'm gonna go watch. Like, I'm clearly saying I haven't seen anything, and you still want. I just.
I also like an invitation too. I just saw somebody that said they're going to send every white person they know to our page. Make sure they understand that it's not easy here. But when you go to a page, here's something else too. When you go to a page, especially somebody that can teach you something or might have a niche or some sort, just scroll through their page a little bit, right? Like, I didn't know that I was going to talk about how TikTok works, but if a video pops up on your For You page and you enjoy it, there's this other piece of it that you then go to their page and say, am I going to like everything else that they have to say? Because again, going back to everybody thinks it's Betty White, or everybody might think it's skating videos with you, or everybody might think it's cooking videos with me. And then, surprise, I'm going to tell you about how you're
blackity black.
Right. I'm going to tell you about how you've been racist and how you can change. Make sure you understand that part. How you can change. I feel like an infomercial, but wait, there's more. I'm going to tell you about how...
Hey, have you been trying to... Oh, God, I got you. Hey, have you been trying to talk to Black people and they keep yelling at you? Well, I'm going to
have I got something for you?
Black women. They will make you feel things. I don't know. That's as much as I've got right now. I don't know.
They will make you... I don't know.
Stick around.
I don't know.
Something good will happen.
I want Black women to be loved as much for holding people accountable as we are for entertaining people, right? Wow. Because everybody loves
the mammy or the baby, like that.
Yes, remember that whole trend that was going around? White women are like, oh my God, when a Black woman calls me baby, I wanted to slap every person that did that.
Yeah, no, thank you. You didn't think any more into this at all. Like, no part of you was like, wow.
No critical thinking.
No critical. That's what I'm saying.
None.
A little bit of due diligence.
Just
a little bit of due diligence.
The smallest amount.
Go to the page. Scroll through. Kimberly. So Kimberly Jones, when I met with her, she was saying that there are certain she understands us saying go Google it. But then certain aspects of us trying to help and certain of us that choose to be in the space,
right?
We are giving instructions and we are telling you how it may not sound like your version of instructions. Turn here, go that way, speak this, don't that, BIPOC. No, you don't have to learn how to be in a space around other humans.
Well, and it's thank you. And it's the thing that too, you can't honestly say that you haven't been given. I have to say hi to my friend Amber that's in here. Hi Amber, I love you, honey. But you can't tell me that you have never been given one part of something or a broad set of instructions that you had to figure it out. If there are any men in here, I can tell you right now that men don't always like to follow a set of instructions, right?
It's counter to so wait, white women make these jokes all the time. And I've done this, and I'm sorry, I started trampling over you.
No, go ahead.
I definitely, they will be the first ones to be like, no, they don't ask for directions. They'd rather drive 3 hours than ask for directions for a 30-minute drive. And then they're like, still, but they should run the country. Or they won't listen to instructions because the men, alpha, but yeah, they should make decisions on behalf of everybody.
I don't want anybody running the country that uses a 3-in-1 in the shower.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think that's completely valid. I think right now we could go, you're out. That's a good filter for one level.
If you use a 3-in-1, then you just don't care. You don't care about yourself and you don't
even use it. I feel you don't even use it if you have it. You know what I mean?
Real. I bet you for that 3-in-1, you use one of the steps. Come on. So if I can't trust you,
they let it go from here down.
Just squirt it on their head and it's trickling
and then
down.
Like, well, it washes because the soap.
Can't trust you.
Science.
Can't trust you. I just made myself angry about that. I got to pull that back. But a 3-in-1 because you know what happens. Like, you know, Mitch McConnell only has a square of a soap.
And he probably puts it directly on his body.
It's got like hair pieces on it. That's
yeah, of course. Okay, we're doing it.
You know what? I'm gonna cleanse myself real quick. I'm gonna show you my little plant baby. See this little guy? So I am not a plant mom by any means, but I am now. I got some plants back in December that I've kept alive. And this whole little asparagus stalk right here, brand new. Yeah, it's a ZZ plant. Brand new. I did that.
Oh, sorry, friend.
Or we did that together. And then this little sweetheart right here, this whole piece, that's since she lived with me. Look at me keeping something alive.
Oh my God. See, I'm making the cute sounds and now Fran's upset. She's like, who's
What's so funny? I have named my plants. So the ZZ plant is Lady. The second one I just showed you is Lola. I've got Fran Fine, the fern, who we're going through some things together. We had a rough start, but she's doing really well. And then I have a peace lily named Anastasia, who's on the floor, and I have a philo named Ann Wilson, who's over there.
I would struggle with naming. Like, that would stress me out.
They have to have their names, and I sing to them every morning. First of all, I love the fact that you make baby noises and your dog comes to you. I made any sound, and Jax went running into bed. Like
certain sounds, she's like, nah, you gotta be talking about me, or you will be talking about me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at the baby.
Yeah.
Like, where am I?
Anastasia also has gone through a lot of growth. She was half this size when I got her. So I'm super excited for her lilies to bloom in the spring.
You're making people want to name their plants.
They have to have their names. They're my babies. All right, now that I have a brain cleanse, back to what we were talking about. I was thinking about Mitch McConnell, and that's I feel
God. It got gross. It got gross. Yeah, it's snowing here.
It's snowing everywhere except for Omaha. So Kansas City is like 3 hours away from me. They got 7 inches of snow the other day.
Oh.
Nothing here. Like, it's been negative 16 degrees here and no snow. And we joke about this thing called, hang on a second. There's a Robin that just joined for the mods. Robin, I talked to you last night. Please be here to listen. But it's an Omadome. Like, it's snow all around us. Nothing here.
Do you feel good about that? Or is that like...
I mean, it's like, I don't want snow, but it's just so weird.
That's weird, though.
It's very weird.
It's weird. I feel like you want to be involved with everything.
It's literally when the tornadoes come through in the Midwest, and they'll hit Nebraska all the time, right? So they'll hit Western Nebraska, they'll hit Eastern Nebraska, and the radar is coming right at us, and something will happen, and it'll just miss us. We'll have heavy, yes, it's the Omodome. Like, we'll have heavy winds, maybe some heavy rains, but never really tornado. Like, it's so bizarre. But then every now and then one will come flying through.
Sorry, Georgia. Georgia's always petty. We can't do anything to comment, but Robin, I've already had enough of you. My thumb's ready.
I love it. Wait, did she kick herself out? Oh my gosh. I think she just kicked herself out. There's nothing going on. It's a boundary. It's just a boundary that I've set, that I made. No, there she is. Hold on. I found her. I think she just kicked. Did you just kick yourself out?
It's like every other time I'm going to do something like this. I can't. I'm so mad at myself. Look, it's Georgia's fault because I tried to see her comment. It's too close to the swipey. It's just,
yes.
It should be like, do you want to leave? You're a guest.
Why can't that be a thing? I'm forever jumping in and out of people's lives because I try to scroll through comments and it's like, I just yeet myself out.
Fran Fine did it. God. Yeah, the mods are awesome, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
What's coming. That's funny.
So if anybody has a question, throw it in there. I'm not saying yes for no or answer it, but yes, it's a Prince wine cup. It's a tumbler. Not bad.
Fancy.
But I had something. What was I going to ask you? I don't know.
I don't know if I want to bring her back up, Whoopi.
But
was it about Whoopi?
You know what? Let's just talk about it. It wasn't about her, but because it brings up an interesting conversation that's happening across kind of the board.
Wait, hold on.
I saw.
Hold on.
There is not a boundary that will be disrespected more than that of a Black woman. No, you did not just go to your backup page. You went to your backup page and came back in here. If you were kicked out, that's for a reason. Does not mean. Are you serious? Like, here's what it is.
I announced it, like, not even a couple of, to me, that's why I'm like,
you could have just came in. You could have just came in and just stayed quiet. Like, just sit in your.
Are you not embarrassed?
Wow.
Oh, it's been one of those days for me where I can't help but just laugh.
That's almost impressive. That's almost.
Honestly, they be killing me. There's a couple times I've laughed so hard I cried on my live because just some man will request in like, well, your name was white woman. I thought you actually wanted to talk to a white person. And I'm just like, I don't know. I lost my shit. It was really funny. But
wow, that was bold. So the conversation with Whoopi and Journal is going around, and I popped into I think it's Michael a live last night. Coral was on that too, and so was Evan, who I think might still be in here. And it was a conversation of it does count as a drink moment. I'll drink with you. But it's a conversation about the intersectionality of anti-Semitism and racism. And that conversation is creating a lot of.
Well, so I want to give a story.
I love a story.
I think this is how I want to do it. I don't think I want to address this. Okay, here's the story.
Yep.
I used to live in New Jersey in Teaneck, which is like a very diverse town, but it has a really strong like Orthodox Jewish community. They're like in their own thing, and they don't, they have their own stores, and everything's kosher, right? We also in that town had a kosher steakhouse, which is very few and far between. So there would be Hasidic Jews who would come from Brooklyn all the way to Teaneck, New Jersey, which is a drive just to come to the steakhouse. Now these are like conservative Jews. These are way more than I ever experienced or had in my family. All different like levels of kosherness. I learned a lot. They didn't know I was Jewish. Mostly Black people work there. Because they couldn't get whatever. So we would just, be. That there was a group that would come in late. We closed at 9:30. They didn't care. They'd be like, we drove from Brooklyn. It's a misogynistic culture. It was owned by people from Israel that, there's a lot of politics involved and blah, 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 blah. So they keep it open for them. And I hated that because it's closed. Anyway. And the first time, so that was like one of the first times I heard this, being like Jewish as a race. I had never heard that before. I only heard it in this conservative conversation about, obviously, I guess in response to something about racism against or anti-Blackness, right? And just in my heart, I'm like, no. Just based on my own American body experience here in this country, Jewish people are white. And there are exceptions, and there is context, and there is nuance. In Germany, where there's not all the Black people and slave labor, and not the child slavery, and it's hundreds of years later, they're using this model to do a similar thing. So if instead of talking about this, we're talking about that, if we're having a conversation about how this whole concept of dehumanization started and a hierarchical structure, And y'all are like, well, also us. And I'm saying, like, I'm talking to this man. I'm like, I just don't understand, because none of my experience, race wise, was about me being Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, anti-Semitism is real. Like, yes, all the isms and all the phobias are real, but they don't all have to come into the conversation about anti-Blackness. And if you can't start it without saying, well, this Black woman said something we don't like, then you shouldn't be talking about it. Like, if you can't just bring up the conversation naturally without saying, here's a Black woman who messed up first, then you don't really need to have the conversation.
Thank you.
And that's why I don't want to talk about this specifically, because she's a, what are you even talking about? And I don't hear anything about why white people are so focused on what is said and then how it's said.
Yes.
They are not talking about why it was said. Why
Right.
did she say it? No one is, and I don't want to know. And
That
I said
part's
that in my
missed.
live. I was like, I didn't want to know. I don't care what she said. I don't want to get trauma dumped, because all it is like recentering to someone else. And I feel like white women sometimes need a juxtaposition as if it's, sexual assault or something. So I thought about this and I was like, it's almost like if we're talking about, this sexual assault on women and how it's rampant and there's no accountability. So it's gender-based violence, right? And against women, right? And then, men will come in and say, well, men get raped too. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, yeah, by men.
Right.
And if that is a, well, technically, and it feels very much like a well, actually, to me. You know what I mean? Like, she said something, but no one cares. It's like, what did you, how can we?
It's a conversation where you said, or that statement that you said, a Black woman said this, and it's an interesting phenomenon that when we are criticizing somebody, it is very easy in that moment to identify their race. Outside of that, it's like, I saw, oh my God, I saw a video the other day where this woman was talking about how a student needed to come see her. She's a counselor. And this poor child was trying to describe her because he couldn't remember her name, and was describing every other way about her instead of saying, she's the Black counselor. But in that moment, it was something that was a good take, right? Like, I need her for something. So I don't want to use Black as a descriptor because it might offend her. But when we're critiquing somebody, this Black woman said this, or that Black man said that, or that Black person did this, all of a sudden now that descriptor is very easy to use.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, what was actually stated, what Whoopi said, is completely separate than the discussion that's being had. And that's a problem.
Right. And what are we talking about? We're not talking about how to fix it. We're not talking about how we can build on what we know about each culture. All we're talking about is, well, is it not the same? Is the same not the same? Because now we're arguing because our struggle, bro, there is so much work to be done. You're talking about Whoopi Goldberg right now?
Right.
Y'all got Ben Shapiro. I don't even know this. He out here, I saw a video of him talking to 6-year-olds about how the government steals everything or whatever. How about you go to him?
Yeah.
Gather your people. Like, you don't have anything else to do but talk about Whoopi Goldberg? What does she have to do with this?
Nothing.
Except that she's a Black woman.
She's a Black woman.
Something.
And the conversation can be had, the race side of it, the conversation can be had is because we think about like what Meghan McCain has said and has gotten away with. And we know why.
Yeah.
She's a white woman. So there's that piece of it. But what happens, again, because this world runs so heavily in anti-Blackness, is now we have two separate conversations instead of just one. Instead of just one.
And that's why I bring up this book. It is one conversation. Read this book if you are talking about, and I'll even give you chapter 8. Go to chapter 8 and just read chapter 8. It's like 6 pages. I'm thinking about reading it on like YouTube or something, or like a podcast, just because
I love that.
Just this chapter, because, or I'd probably do more because I have a lot of things to say about it. But with this conversation, before anyone talks about it, I'd like you to read Caste by Isabel Wilkerson, chapter 8, because it just talks about the formation of the laws in Germany and how they sat in the room, transcribed it, recorded it, exactly what they did, what they said about America, how we are the classic stand, and what you can do is learn.
Yes.
How it's influenced by each other, and how this conversation, what is your point?
Yeah.
Like what harm was caused out of all of this?
Right. And it's like you said before, if the conversation wasn't being had, is the concern as valid as you're saying it is? If somebody else on that panel would have said what Whoopi said, would this conversation be happening? Or at least would it be happening this way? Right. And what the conversation that I had last night and the live that I jumped in with, and again, thank you to Coral and Evan and God, is it Michael? Please put that, because I physically
Michael Laborn.
Yes, okay, right name. Is the intersectionality of it, and this is something that I can see. I can't speak to because I'm not Jewish, but I was having this conversation because Robin was not understanding about like, oh, like, are you jealous that we have been oppressed or something? Oh yeah, a fucking mess. But I use the analogy, and this is a little
sorry. Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. I use the analogy because at one point we thought we were getting to her, and Michael and Coral did like a lot of work. And I said, here's what we can do. Like, let me break this down for you. Let's just say that you and I are both Jewish, right? You and me, Robin. Robin is a white presenting person. I'm not sure of their pronouns because I'm going to correct myself. I don't remember, so I'm going to say they just to be safe. But I said, we're walking down the street. We're both Jewish, but we get stopped. What do they see about you first? And they said that I'm white. And then you would have to say that I'm Jewish. And I said, and what are they going to see about me? And they said, that you're Black. Right. And then I would have to tell them that I'm Jewish. We both have that in common. Like, they'll see how we present first, and then we have to say that we're Jewish. I said, but who's going to get stopped and frisked? Oh, yeah. So that's what's missing, is because it's an intersectionality thing of it.
We're here talking about this, and I had someone in a comment, and I saved it because I'm like not sure how to handle it. As a white presenting Jewish person, okay, on my page, I've had this happen, and this person clearly didn't do any due diligence to find out if I was, because they're saying, and this has happened to me in Black spaces, so I completely understand about something. And I'm thinking, is she saying she's been in Black spaces and she's Jewish and white, now people don't listen to her? Because what? Like, the fact that I could do this and you would never know I'm Jewish says enough. The fact that people are confused as to why I wear a chai.
Right.
And they need to find out.
Right.
And that they need to understand, why is she wearing this?
Right. And that's nobody's business. Again, it's that whole boundary. There is not a boundary that is disrespected more than that of a Black woman's. It doesn't matter why you're wearing it. It does not matter why you're wearing it, right? It's the behavior. It just doesn't matter. And it's that, like, you had to validate.
It's like, am I allowed?
In that moment, you had to validate why you are allowed to wear that necklace. And you know what it is? I can almost understand the conversation. You're appropriating culture. I can guarantee you that somebody was waiting to fucking say that. I can promise you that the person that asked you that was waiting to say, but now you're appropriating a culture.
Oh, I've had at least one person say it before doing any due diligence to watch any other video. And someone had to say, actually, bro, she's Jewish. Like, I shouldn't have to be, though.
No.
I shouldn't have to be. And this is why, like, I shouldn't have to tell y'all I'm neurodivergent for you not to call me ableist when I just talk. Mm-hmm. Now, that, I don't need to tell you that I'm Jewish for you to let me have an opinion on, like, yes, I should be clear and transparent about my perspective. If I wasn't Jewish, I should say I'm not, but I am.
I'm gonna challenge you on that. If you're speaking from, I want to be careful how I say this, because you can speak to, like the example that I just used, right? Seeing us in the street. That's an example that I can use. I'm not Jewish, but I can use that as an example. I'm not going to speak beyond that experience, what I would like beyond that. So you don't, like, I feel like if you are, it depends on the conversation that you're having, whether or not you have to self-identify, right?
Right. That's true. Yeah.
It just depends, right?
Nuance.
If somebody's just pulling it out of you because they have to know, because they're not going to believe that you're Jewish unless you say, I am Jewish. That's not, and here's the intersectionality of it. I'm gonna ask you this: do people get upset when you say that you're Black as opposed to mixed race?
Or all the time. All the time.
And whose fucking business is that?
Right. All of them not shit. You're white. Do you know how many people have to tell me I'm either white or not white? Like, I don't understand. I'm getting both arguments. Either way, like this one drop rule,
God.
It gets into, I think like the last, look, I'm telling y'all, just reach under 8 while I'm yelling at y'all. Like, it's just, all up in my business.
All up
right? But I think it just stems from the one drop rule and thinking like the entitlement to our bodies, to the Black body, and not seeing it as a human, right? Mm-hmm. They say the hair. We love the hair.
The hair.
I like the
right? I love the skin. I love the lips. I love the curve.
The strength.
I love the way you wear a color. We are an object. We are not human beings. We don't get the privilege of autonomy that everybody else is afforded.
From a not schmatzy researcher, and they quoted the one drop rule was too harsh for the schmatzis. Too harsh. There were quite a few things that were too harsh, and the Nazi schmatzis.
And yet,
but and then we're like, well, let's talk about if we get to the root of it. If we help the disenfranchised, the most disenfranchised, everybody wins. So if we could just have that mindset instead of I'm disenfranchised too.
Right.
All race-based genocide matters. That's what it sounds like to me.
Sure does.
All race-based genocide matters.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. The fact that we have to quantify ourselves so much it's ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Like,
when giving out this gift too, like the more
free.
I think about that, I'm like, wait, we're doing all this
and still being like assessed, right?
Constantly.
How the fuck do you come to our pages, repeat back what we say, and then when something doesn't go your way, now all of a sudden we're mean, we're angry, we're full of rage.
Yeah, we're defensive. We are all these things when all we've said is go do that.
Just go do that. It's because as much as some people will say that they want to learn, what they actually want is something force-fed to them. Back to that whole education thing. Don't wait until we post a video, because if you're waiting for me to post a video for you to learn something, tell you what, I will go ahead and sign you up for a monthly subscription, and then you can actually learn that way. But you have to be a fucking adult at some point, right? Like,
you learn how to do other things. Like
it's like writing a book report. Let's talk like a book report. If you're in school and you get an assignment of writing a book report, nobody's going to read that book out loud to you. Nobody's going to go chapter by chapter and say, here's the synopsis and here's what happened, and then you regurgitate it back. No, you get a book assignment, you go home and you read it, and then you write what you wrote about it. Or write what you read about it. You know what I'm trying to say. But like, we don't do all the work for you. But that's what's happening, because now there are people that have given this little piece of help.
Yeah.
Now it's a gift, or now it's a requirement, right?
Yeah.
People say it all the time on varying levels of content. You see it on social media. Like, if we do something outside of our typical norm, oh God, I like when you do this, but I wish you were doing something else. Fuck you. Like, Okay.
Like, the nerve to even say that to another adult or like to another person. Like, you know, when you live your life this way, it's more entertaining to me. Someone came into my live and was like, what is your page about? And I was like, go look at my page. And they commented on some video like, you were super disrespectful. All I wanted to do was know your brand. Like, you know, I was trying to get knowledgeable on your brand. I had never seen your page and you were extremely disrespectful. I'm not a brand.
No, I'm not a brand. I don't work for you. It's like, it's the same thing when people
I should
are
be
like,
grateful that you want to know, like, y'all think this too much.
too much, too much, too much. Hang on. I want to address something here real quick. Maybe, possibly. Okay, that was something. But yeah, it's that expectation. Like, there was somebody once that had said something of, I love when you collect people, or like, I'm not.
It's not like for you.
I'm not here.
It's not.
Because then what you're saying is you like it when people act fucking ignorant, so that I can entertain you with calling them.
And you can feel better about the fact that it wasn't you.
Yeah. Because again, what we're looking for, like, ideally, I would love to be able to just do like education videos and not have to call someone to task. But if there's one thing,
I'm struggling,
and two things for certain, there's going to be somebody that gives me the opportunity to do a video response to some out of pocket comment.
I got so much stuff I want to like say to people, like actual stuff. And then I spend so much time being like, can y'all stop talking so I can say the thing? You want help so bad. If you could shut up, I would tell you. I have it. I have notebooks and notebooks and notebooks. But you spend so much time like, well, when you did this, I didn't really like it.
And it never makes any, like, it doesn't make any sense. I don't understand the difficulty with not talking, especially on a medium like this, right?
Right.
Where I can't even actually hear you.
Yes. Like, I think about how much, like, do you see your Black creators commenting very often? And when they do, what are we saying? Usually not much, but it's something like, it's just praise. This, that part, love this. That's all we we find, at least that's what I've noticed, right? Like, I thought about it myself. Like, I don't really comment like my full ass biography ever.
Hold on real quick. Somebody said they're a college professor. They issue a syllabus that outlines expected code. You know what? I'm not a college professor. And I don't want to have to teach an adult how to act. I don't know if that was your suggestion.
Also, that's like super white. So the other day, I remember thinking, like, when I had Kimberly Jones on, I was like, see, so people want me to have like a list of questions. This is what white people do. And then I'm going to do like this. I was like, nah, I'm going to listen to her talk. And I'm going to be in this. And I'm not that, like, if it's a good thing, you don't need to let everyone know up front. Like y'all don't know how to be
just dialogue.
Listening. Like, you need ahead of time. What is with this? You don't, like, yeah, in school, sure. So you know what's coming up and all that stuff. But like at the beginning of the lesson, you don't really need a breakdown of what the lesson's going to be. You should probably just sit there for the lesson. You're wasting time. That's at least how I felt about it. Today we're going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about, then we're going to talk about, do it.
If I'm doing that, that's coming. I mean, that's for the future with, again, something that's going to come with some sort of like a scheduled compensation type thing, right? I will say it again. Yes, like the tips are appreciated and I love it and thank you. But I do this for 60 seconds for a video every now and then. Anybody that wants any more of my time, now you're talking about hiring me. And with that comes a bit more. But that's the thing. Is like, I've had that before. Somebody said, if you want me to, like, I remember somebody's gone back and forth and I said, if you want to talk more, I can send you my rates. Well, if you want me to pay you, then I just can't afford it. Okay, then stop talking. Like this, like it's like, if we're gonna be transactional, and if you can't afford it, that's fine. That's fine. That also means that this stops.
Then you do your own work now.
Yes,
that's it. Do due diligence. So I'll give them something because I'm feeling generous too. So say, oh, that was like
perfect timing.
That was perfect timing. So say you didn't wait, or you waited and you thought, oh, why am I talking? This is a good reason. And you said something and it didn't go well. Don't panic. I got something for you. Infomercial. Have you forgotten to wait and you said something and it's not going down so smoothly? I got D3 times 3. Okay, you ready for this?
Let's go.
Don't double down.
Boom.
Whatever you said, if it didn't go, just don't repeat it. 2, don't dirty delete.
No.
If you have gotten a response to that and you didn't like it, you do not delete it to take away the embarrassment. It still happened. I'm still remembering. I saved it.
Yep.
And then 3, do due diligence. And then you laugh at do due diligence. Because I'm a child and I do that every time. And then do it like a little poop emoji, diligence.
Does that kind of look like it? Like,
yeah, no, 100%.
That sounds like weird.
No,
I love that. Don't double down. Don't dirty delete. Do due diligence. Do. And then you giggle. And what's funny is like you have just, like, those things that you just said, that's the playbook for white people being affected by what we have to say. Ooh, well, that's fun.
That would be like, you got.
I love that. I love that. Yes, take a screenshot. Don't double down. Don't dirty delete. Do due diligence. And the dirty delete is such a huge thing because I know that people, and also real quick, if anybody's in here, PayPal is in my link tree. It's my email address. One of the things with the dirty delete, because somebody was like, I made a video about it and people are like, well, just pin the comment. I know how to stop a comment from being deleted. That's not the problem. I don't want that responsibility. But when you dirty delete, like you said, it does not make the offense go away. It's not like I called you out of your name in a text or a comment and then took it away. It's not like I didn't just say, you're a fucking blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And not all of a sudden it didn't happen anymore. No, now it happened. And then nobody else gets to know now how not to talk to you. And it's the same thing. Like when you say something out of pocket, the whole video, I giving instructions, using your weight and saying, listen to it again. While you're typing, listen again. After you type it out, read it out loud. And if you still feel that it sticks, go ahead and type it. And then when you find out that you still fucked up, then own up to it. But then leave it, right? It's along that same veil of, if you take that comment away, then yes, it does seem like what I'm doing isn't worth the time. Because the mistake that you made, nobody else gets to learn from.
Right. Do that for us. The don't double down is for you because you go embarrass yourself. The don't dirty delete is for us so that we can maintain that boundary and show you and you can learn. It's for you too.
Uh-huh.
You'll look like a rock star if you just, honestly, it's kind of annoying. All a white person has to do is acknowledge they messed up immediately and they're like gold in my brain.
Right.
But so far I can only think of 2 people who've done it.
It's not very
often. The whole time I've been on TikTok.
But it's the same thing. It's like when you're in school, and you use the seatbelt or a driving example too, but when you're in school, you answer a question, there's a solid chance you're going to get it wrong. You're going to get it wrong because you are learning something. So when you join a class, like I'm taking AP biology. I walk in, I haven't taken a science class other than chemistry, so I haven't gotten to the biology side of it. And they take maybe like a quiz to get your assessment. And out of the quiz, I get 5 out of 10 right, which is expected. I've never taken biology. I haven't studied that course. That's not familiar to me. I just guessed off of what I have heard before. 5 out of 10. Am I then kicked out of class? No, but I know my starting point as to what I need to focus on to make that 5 out of 10 a 10 out of 10. You're not going to get it right every single time. And taking that away cheats everybody, the people around you. And also, like you said, you yourself, because then you can't, under the sea. Because then you can't, like I just had an aerial moment, but you can't, yes, pre-test, midterm, final, except for there's no final because this keeps going. But, but when you leave that example up there, it allows you to come back, right? It's like taking notes. I made this mistake
That
And
could be a
then
beautiful thing
a
in a
beautiful thing,
year
a
or
conversation comes
whatever.
back up. Right. A conversation comes up and you're like, wait a minute, this sounds familiar. This sounds familiar. Where did I see this before? And then you go to, hi, Sarah. And then you go to the video that you commented on and you look back and you're like, okay. Because how many times have you read something, walked away, came back and read it again?
Right.
Because sometimes it just doesn't get you in that moment. Either you read it and it hurts too much.
Mm.
Like I'll use an example. I'm in therapy, and one of the things that I'm working on right now is writing a letter to my inner child. I have started that thing 2 or 3 times because it's too hard right now. But that doesn't mean that it's never going to get done. So the same thing, when you are learning something and what you hear is too hard or too harsh, then leave it alone. That's a
Right.
huge reason why you shouldn't talk. If a video hits you, if you listen to something and it smacks you in the face and you're like, holy, like that pisses me off. Why are you mad? Let's talk about why you're activated. And the reason, if you can't tell me in that moment why you're activated, then you have no reason commenting anything at all, because you are commenting from a place of reaction as opposed to a place from understanding.
Right.
So if you're responding from here all the time, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Something is like, that has upset me, and I'm going to say something about it right now.
Right. Instead of going, well, I think people are also encouraged by the quickness of TikTok, right? Like the ADHD nature of TikTok. And it's like, well, I watched it. I need to get it now. I need to understand it. I watched it. I don't get it. I'm struggling.
Mm-hmm.
You don't, maybe you need to see other things first before this clicks, and that is fine. And I don't need to know about it.
Right. And
Just keep it
inside. That's important. This is not Snapchat, right? These videos aren't going anywhere unless we take them away. Excuse me. And if we take them away, it's for a different reason, but they're there for the duration, right?
You can save them.
You can save the video. You can add it to favorites. You can save it to your phone.
Just the sound if you want it.
The sound if you want. That's what you can That's what you can do. But in that moment, and just oh my God, it's like fall. But it's like you said. Also, when you have that gut reaction, we don't have to go through it with you.
No.
The idea of the collective is not. It's not what people think it is, and like thoughts come to my head. But you can be collective in your healing away from the person that has activated that thought or has ignited that thought, right? It's like having study groups in school. You go to a class. Let's just talk about philosophy. Philosophy can bring up a lot of things, right? So you're in class, your professor is telling you this whole lesson. You're feeling all these things. You're thinking about what's going to come up. And then you're like, hey, I've got study group. And then in that study group where your professor is not, you have this conversation, because now you are not bringing in the person that gave you that knowledge and sounding like you're trying to refute it as part of your understanding. Because when you are understanding something, you will often say things that are contradictory. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But then you think about it, okay, wait a minute, it does make sense. You have to give yourself that time. We do not have to rush through this thing. That's why we say there's no end to becoming an anti-racist. You stay at that the entire time because you're consistently learning something new. You're always going to learn something new, and thinking that you have the whole thing figured out is exactly how you come right back to square one.
Right. And you just need to urgency. I need to learn. I need to catch up. I need to get to the point where I'm comfortable with this, and not realizing that the point in which you're comfortable is where you realize, like, all right, this is going to be a long journey. Buckle up. Like, this isn't, it's not a to-do list that you check off before you start a journey. It's not like, I talk about like inclusion, and I think I want to eliminate inclusion from these conversations, because like, why, who is asking to be included in that? Y'all assume we want, what we're missing is your acceptance. What? Yeah.
Say that again.
That what we're missing is your acceptance.
There it is.
I remembered it too. Sometimes I be forgetting. But that is like, we're just waiting for you to let us dance like no one is watching.
Let us be. Just let us live. The problem with inclusion, so the whole DEI boards, first of all, it's usually diversity, equality, and inclusion. Equality is not equity. Diversity is being asked to the dance, but nobody is asking you to actually dance. And inclusion means that we are joining into something else. I don't need to be included with you to be seen as a human being.
No,
I
don't want to be a melting
let
pot.
me fucking live, right?
Yeah.
Let me live. If I want to go to your party, fantastic. But I guarantee you, I just want to fucking live.
And that is to be.
Just exist. I just want to exist without conforming to what you think I should be doing or how you think I should be acting. Don't tell me that I'm not black enough. Don't tell me that I'm acting too white. Don't tell me that I'm too black. Don't tell me that I'm too much. Just let me fucking be. And you don't have to, don't include us in your thing because it's different, right? It's different. We can coexist without being exactly the same. You just have to appreciate and accept and acknowledge and fucking respect those differences. And that's the problem. All of this DEI work is rooted in white supremacy because all we're trying to do is just conform everybody to what white supremacy culture has told us is acceptable.
Right. And then just reflect what we want. So I always say the companies are focused on reflection, and whatever hiring thing, initiatives they're doing is about reflection, not representation.
Right.
It has nothing to do with who we are. You're just showing a black face on a picture, sitting like this. I love where my boyfriend talks about that he would go to all these pharmacy conferences because there's only a few black pharmacists and the photographers would follow him around to take pictures, and he's like, I'm not trying to be your stock photo.
Right.
But it's reflection that they care about, because that gets us past this whole black square, blah. I don't want to have to change anything. I just want y'all to be quiet, and if we have black people, that's it, right?
Right.
But that's not inclusion. I want to be included with y'all. I don't want a melting pot. Who even gets a melting pot? I want different foods in my food. I don't want one pot of one food.
I will tell you that
one big cheese.
I love the plate that has the compartmentalized section. Right? And I love that you say that representation versus reflection, because that is so, so huge, right? You don't want people to show up as they are authentically. I don't know if Kelly's still in here. Kelly, if you're in here, I'm going to work with you, but she might be gone. But it's not about, again, that
different food in my food. I
do want different food in my food.
I'd be saying something like, that's just words.
But yeah, I'm not trying to the problem, reflecting what you're showing is reflecting the problem that's already there, right? Why don't you want people to show up authentically as they are? What is the problem with that? Why is that so awful?
Because a human resource. Human resource. It's not a person.
Yep.
Those are different. And personal and professional are supposed to be counter, right? They're mutually exclusive. So now all of a sudden, when there's a racial reckoning, now companies want to act like we're people. I would have said, just don't. Continue this professional versus personal. Let us decide if we want to do that. Professional means white man right now. Maybe professional would change if we let that change. But
have to let it happen, though.
You can't be like, we care about our employees, but also they're a human resource that's managed, right, by a department. Right. Just like your non-human resources, your finance, or your supply chain. It's just another part of the system that the distinction between people is a waste for that system. You can't have. You just and you just stick with it. And I never knew that. I believed the words of, we want to be new and we want to bring young people in and we want to bring your whole self to work, but also like this, but speak in STAR format.
Right.
Situation, task, action, result. Right. Speak like this. No one speaks like that. And
nobody speaks like that.
I didn't understand that as an interview process. So do you want people? Or do you want a computer that answers questions like this so that you can write down? the resume, like we all just lie on resumes. I don't know. This whole thing blew my freaking mind.
It's that whole thing. Somebody said, "What's the alternative to inclusion representation?" Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
absolutely. Let people show up authentically as they
Represent who
are.
they are, where they come from. I should be able to rock, like, there
You
shouldn't be a
should.
dress code.
So the story I was going to tell with Kelly, who I don't think is in here, Kelly is somebody that actually reached out to me, and I'm going to do some work with her in real life, which I'm really excited about. But she's writing a book with, she's got so Kelly's a white woman, and she's co-writing a book with a Black woman, and I love the angle that they're taking it. It's like their different experiences at work, and then how they kind of intersect. And
Ooh.
so, like a short, brief synopsis is this Black woman was working for this corporation, and so she had her nose pierced and tattoos and um, uh, like her hair, she normally wore her hair natural or whatever the case, but she started this job and she wore long sleeves, took her piercing out, and just didn't show up as herself authentically. And Kelly asked her this question, and when she was telling me the story, I was like, this is phenomenal. Kelly's like, well, what's going to happen if you do it? Didn't try to offer any platitudes, didn't try to say, well, I get why you can't show up, like didn't try to justify that side, didn't try to over promote the other side and not forget,
Right.
that's the thing too, is like I feel sometimes that white women are like, you should just do whatever you want to do and forget about the consequences, right?
Right,
Instead,
right.
just say, yeah,
Did
just
you
say
hit
like,
her? Did you hit her back when she touched
yeah,
your hair? No.
did you fight her? No, because I'm not trying to catch a fucking case. Like, let's forget that part. So all Kelly said is, well, what will happen if you do it?
Mm.
And her friend was like, well, I don't know. So the next day, and so she was also wearing like very muted colors. So the next day she went, had her hair natural, had her tattoo showing, her nose pierced, beautiful colors. And people were just like, oh my God, you look phenomenal. And it was just like they saw her
Mm-hmm.
showing up as
Mm-hmm.
herself, and it was fine. And so that's a good, like it's a good experience
I
at work.
worry about that.
Right. It doesn't
See, I
always
worry about that.
happen
Like, it's fine for now.
for now. Right. And it's one of those things like we should be excited about that whole story
Yeah,
and not say, but what
you're right.
happens 6 months down the road?
Because
Like what
because
happens when
because
it's
for
not a
me, I was
novelty?
accepted. You know, in my company,
Yeah.
I was accepted. I was flued out. I was moved. I mean, I was kind of a diversity hire, but I felt like in a good way, like on purpose. Like I came and went. I was, but then I got a reorg, and I just got shoved under a different group of whites. But now it's too late, right? Because I've already shown blackity black, and I've talked blackity black, and they're already intimidated.
Right. You can't pull that
And I
back.
already did the job before them, so I knew more than them already, and I'm a black woman, so I'm fucked. I didn't know I was, but I was screwed.
Right.
But there was like nothing I could do,
Right.
you
And
know?
yeah, yes. And that's the part. Like we can do it. There's a job that I had. So I've always showed up authentically as myself. If it doesn't work, then I'll leave. But as you can see, I've got a couple tattoos. I've got a few piercings. And I remember my last full-time job, not the one I'm at now, but prior to that, there was a job that was created. It was created for this role, and I was integral in creating it because I had done something prior to this, right? So this job is created. I move into it. It's a team of 5. Super excited about it because I'm kind of heading the team because, again, I helped create it based off of something I'd done prior. Through conversations, and this is something else too, talk with your people about what you make. Have that conversation. Fuck HR.
Oh
But
my
have this
God, yes.
conversation. And out of the 5 people, so 5 of us, not only did I help create this role, I had been at the company the longest.
Mm-hmm.
So it was me, 2 white women that were 40 and above, a biracial woman who was white presenting, and then a white man. Out of the 5 people, I was 4th on the pay scale. There were 3 people ahead of me making more money than I was. And when I had the conversation about why, there was a lot of talk around about how I showed up to work. Not my performance.
Of course not. Of course not.
So I said, fuck you to that company, as you can acknowledge. But like, that's the thing is like, I was told that it was fine. Like I was within the dress code. I was within the policies. We could be
Yeah.
tattooed. We could be
Yeah.
pierced. And my thing is like, if that's going to be the policy for your company, that means that you're going to let people show up that way and then still succeed. Like that
Because
doesn't mean they show up.
they can't determine the individuals that are going to impact your day and impact your performance review and impact your pay because the company says you can do this. They're still going to have all of their biases and their opinions, and I was never allowed to, especially the older people. They would promise, oh, I never had to do this, and the kids, they leave at 4 and take the train. Like, oh my God, what did I come into?
Yeah, this is gross.
It's just gross. They're touching my hair. No one cares.
I hate it here.
I hate it here. And all I could do was talk to the white women and be like, if you stop touching my hair, that'd be cool. And they're like, what? What do you mean? And then it'd be like, well, my daughter's blonde and she went to China and they touched her hair, the kids. Well, you see how that's not the same?
Two things.
See how she's the kids and she's not at work and she's blonde. And why did you bring that up? You just learned about my thing right now.
It's the drawing parallels. But also, this is kind of an aside a little bit. When people try to touch our hair or just touch us in general, because people try to touch me in general. And part of it is tattoos, and I can have that conversation. Like, people want to talk, and I tell people I'm not an art. Like, if you go to a museum, you just don't go up and start touching pieces of art. So don't touch it.
Yeah.
But touching us, outside of the fact that again we don't have any autonomy over our bodies, why the fuck don't you? Like, if your follow up is like, well, people touch me all the time. Why aren't you telling them no?
That sounds like
why are you letting it happen? What the fuck? Let's stop touching people without their consent. Let's stop commenting on people's. I have been told that if you can, do not critique somebody based on something that you can't change in 5 minutes. So I'm not going to call you fat because you're fat, and fat's not an insult. I'm not going to talk about your fucking teeth unless you can have dental work done. Like, if it's not something where you've got like your skirt tucked in your fucking ass crack, or you've got food stuff, like, let's stop doing that. And I understand
you don't always have to compliment people. Also,
you don't have
people.
To. Somebody was like, we're in a pandemic, why are you touching your money anyway? I get that, yes, but it's drawing another parallel. Let's outside of that, pandemic aside, let's just stop touching people. Let's, saying that you lost weight it's not the compliment that people think it is. Saying
I'm a hugger is really weird. I saw that on the show. I'm a hugger. Well, I'm not. Like, you didn't ask me.
That's great. I'm a hugger too. And every single time it's one of those, are you? Like, just ask the fucking question.
Right. Like, just put the arms out. Are you cool? That person might just, don't assume they want something from you. There's this thing I feel like some white women have where it's just, especially when I watch Real Housewives. Oh my God. The way they treat staff, like they are objects, right? I was just watching a scene and they were like, I dare one of you to French kiss one of the chefs right now. Bethany said that. And I was like, I used to be into Bethany, but now I'm like, I don't. She's like the covert racist because she feels so comfortable. She feels so comfortable.
She's garbage.
She is. And I didn't see it before. But now that I'm aware, you see the privilege that they just treat, go French the chef right now, go for it. And they just go, and this man is so uncomfortable.
And what's he supposed to do? And what is he supposed to do?
He's the chef. He's a person. When you put the labels and you just one of the chefs, like, you have to think about what you're doing when you label and categories, people like that. Because then it's easy to just tell one of the helpers to unpack my bags and they just drape all over them.
Ramona all the time.
They drape on them. They that there's nothing that man can do. I've seen them drape over black men.
They know.
And they're so, and they're like, he loves that.
I don't, like, people know that I talk about boundaries, and I will talk about boundaries. So I just need people to, understand that a boundary is not punishment. And B, that you are allowed to have your own boundaries. I think people get so upset about them because they don't understand how to set them themselves. Fine. I understand that. That's a big thing. It took me time to get here. It takes it takes people time to get there.
Yeah.
But a boundary is not a punishment. It's just not a punishment. And it looks so many different ways, right? People think boundary is like the boundary versus the wall. It's not a wall. It's just a different port of access. But like, love yourself enough to say, I'm not going to let anybody treat me any certain type of way just because they can.
Right.
Like that at some point you have to think, and I'm not discounting trauma by any means. Trust me, without going into my own shit. This is coming from a place of trauma can help you become better at boundaries.
Right.
But it's just about no going into my own shit. This is coming from a place of trauma can help you become better at boundaries.
Right.
But it's just about knowing that not everybody deserves access to you because not everybody has good intent, right? And it's really important in what we do here with these parasocial relationships because we give ourselves out so much. One of the things about us creating content, 160 people have the possibility, like outside of the people that follow us, there are the people that see us on their For You page. So people have this brief amount of access to us. And it becomes this thing where like, well, if I can see your videos and I can comment, that means that I can say whatever I want to you. No. Again, I know your username. I don't know you. I don't know you. And you don't actually know me. It's another thing. You can love me and I love people. And I said this before. I say I love you in my videos because I do. I have love for people. And I can change that around a little bit. That love that I have for you as a human being can be completely fucking cut off too. Because the minute you get out of pocket and you show me that my boundaries don't matter, then now you don't mean anything to me. And that is not meant to upset you or to hurt your feelings. It is just saying, you don't have any value to me as a person. I don't know who you are, and you show me who you are, and nothing about that says, I want to invite you into my life. And that's something else to think about. When you go to somebody's comment and you come completely out of pocket and you can't understand why they don't want to talk to you, why? Who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Why would I do that?
But some like part of me is like, do they think that because someone has said, well, your page says you're a white woman whisperer. So that makes you think that I'm just open. I'm a 24/7 Black Google represented, like right here.
Yes. It's the same argument of people saying, if you don't want comments, turn your comments off. No, fucker. Don't be an asshole. That's the dumbest fucking shit I ever heard. It's like
take your head out of it.
It's an artist having a concert and inviting people in, but then saying, don't say anything. Don't sing a word. Don't clap for me. Don't cheer. Just sit here and don't say anything. That's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And the fact that you can't control yourself enough to not say something fucking ignorant and you're like, just turn your comments off. You've got me all the way fucked up. Like, what?
Yeah, I'm here for this reason. I'm going to check people when I check people. I'm going to complain when I complain. But it's not because I can't deal or I didn't choose this or this isn't something we could all learn from. People are just like, why? Or even when people come into my comments, like, that would be nice. But people are just, they're not going to listen. Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks.
That goes back to the whole it's not worth it thing.
Yeah.
Like the day that we had the same comment. Remember that we commented, like did a video response?
That person was probably like,
I know. Like, because it was like back to back. I was like,
but they were cool. They were
cool. They were fine. Like that one went well. But I was kind of like, sorry-ish.
But we both kind of were like, look, this is something we get a lot. And if you're the representation for it that day, then you're the representation for it.
You're the learning example. And I try to do that too. If it's gonna be like a teaching example, I try to preface it that way. But it's one of those things too. And this is something for everybody in here. We understand that if you have been with us for a while, that you formed this community, this sense of community with us, right? I don't like to refer to people as followers. That just sounds gross to me.
It's
gross. Like it's building community. It's building just some sort of sense of where we can do this together. This is my collective. I fucking lost my train of thought. There it is. You might have this feeling of protectiveness, right? Me responding to somebody commenting yours is me like, you're not gonna fuck with the burger. Like I'm gonna come after this, and I get that. That being said, you still don't speak for us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so sometimes rushing in to do that correctiveness derails the situation. And it all comes back to process offline.
Mm.
The same thing, the conversation about, I do think that white people should teach anti-racism because it's our job to dismantle it. It sure is. It absolutely is.
Yeah.
But the way that you dismantle it is you learn from an expert and you process with your team.
Right. Take it back with you. Take your notes. Let it sink. It's conceptual. This is deeper work.
It's
This
deeper.
isn't 1 + 1 = 2.
No,
Okay.
it's very nuanced work. It's very deep work. But you learn in one place, process somewhere else. I'm not your journal. Because outside of the fact that now you are centering yourself as well, now you are putting more on. There is a whole hoodie with it on the steps. I have it, like learn it, absorb it, take it to the streets. But like when you bring that stuff back to us, we now have to decide what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Do I listen to you and then take on more than I need because it's not mine? Do I disregard you and then set myself up for a possible pushback? Like that's too much. Like now I'm thinking about all of this stuff that's going on that you could be doing over there.
Yeah.
It's that progress report. I'm not your journal. I'm not your priest. So looking for absolution is not the place to get me. Like that's not going to work either. And I'm not your study buddy, right? Like I've given you something, like you said, critical thinking. I've given you some things to work on, and now go work on them.
Now just go think about it with a lot over there. Think about it.
Over there.
Think about if it doesn't make sense to you, or you're like that can't be right. Think about, well, how could it be right?
Mm-hmm.
What could she be meaning? Because it sounds like whatever you think. Don't tell me. I don't care. But like you were saying before, it's like we don't need to hear your analysis of our lived experience. You can have it. You can have it.
Over there.
Over there. In fact, I actually made a super scrappy random notebook that just says white feelings and white woman whisper. It's off my website. And it's like $12. But like just because I was like feeling like people needed journals.
You deserve.
I'm just saying. I'm just,
I need people. I think that I keep trying to find a way to explain what anti-racism work actually looks like. And I keep like waffling on how I want to describe it, right? Because it was, because it's a collective experience. Because people are learning together. But a collective doesn't mean that you're always together, right? Like it's not as easy as hearing a message. It's not even as easy as reading a book, because when you read that book, then you have to apply what you learned, right? And what is fascinating to me is that people have gone through different experiences, whether it was school, whether it was something that happened in their life, whatever the case may be, there has been something in everybody's life that you've had to process through. Even if your process is like, I'm not going to do it, and you push it aside, that's just still a step in the process.
It's a decision.
It's a decision. And so when we tell you that we're here to help, we're here to help. We're not here to do it for you. We are not your hires. We are not your staff. We are not your mind guru, right? These are steps to help you. It's like looking up YouTube for how to fix something, but then it's like, okay, I watched the video and now let me go fix something, right? Like I watched a YouTube video to put my bidet in. I didn't like the instructions. But I didn't take my computer in with me, and I didn't also call up the creator of that video saying, okay, I don't understand step 3. Can you help me through it?
Right. My piece is a little bit different. Mine is blue. Yours is red. Is that the same?
Yes.
Don't do that. Figure it
Don't
out.
do that. Don't
Figure
do
it out
that.
yourself. Try it. See if it works. If it don't
Watch
work,
the video again and say,
right.
hey, look, it's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. Okay, so I should do this. Watch it again. And it, again, ties back to the fact that our videos don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
They don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
We've created playlists. We have created just content for you to look at, to absorb. Just do some critical thinking.
Doesn't it get like, I know, it's like, it's just so easy, but it's exhausting to have to break these things down that white people make so big, and they make it so complicated.
I have an example.
We have to keep doing it. Go ahead.
No, I have an analogy for that. And this, you can, like, I use this in my full-time job, but this was used on SVU, which, as a prison abolitionist and somebody that believes that all cops are bad, I'm addicted to SVU, and I own that. But
it was all like until Stabler left. Once Stabler left, I dropped.
Okay, but so now there's the show that he's on, and they're running them together. And so I'm going to encourage you to maybe just
Okay.
Because things are happening. There's 2 seasons of his show, and I would love to talk about it with you. But that being said, is there was a line. It's like when you are in a zoo or in a park or something, and New York City is where they're at. You hear hooves. Do you think horses or zebras? You think horses. The problem is that because we've asked so much critical thinking, people think zebras. It's the biggest thing. It's the worst thing. It's it's like we said, you know what? Don't call me cis. I can't call anybody cis. I can't use the word at all. I can't call my friend cis. It became this giant.
What about my sister?
thing.
I call my sister cis. Am I not?
I'm from the South. We call everybody cis. Cool. Don't call me sis. And it was this simple, small thing. Like horses, not zebras. Just small thing. Listen to what we're saying and not what it could be.
What it could be. What the worst case scenario. I mean, I duetted a video of a girl saying, hey, I used weight, and or she didn't even say I used weight, but I didn't say something at a time where I thought I was trying to say something, and it was great. I really, I'm appreciative of the fact that I learned from you that I don't always need to say something as a white person.
Yeah.
And then they lost their minds. What do you say? So you don't have conversations with your friends? So you're just supposed to not engage in anything? Okay, so imagine it was a bunch of white people and it was a black person, and they said, hey, you can't talk. And she's in the comments all on her video, nothing. Right? On her video,
of course. Great,
I love her. White Woman Spirit is great. On my video? I can't be quiet. I have ADHD. I couldn't sit there. I like to talk to them. What do you mean? You're not supposed to ask questions? I would ask questions, but what about, bruh?
That's why
she said it, nothing.
Yeah, hi Nikki. That's what I like duets. While I enjoy them, I appreciate when it's nothing added to it, unless it's again specifically requested. But
right. It's often.
But then also keep the same energy in both spots, right? Don't be a hero over here and a disruptor over here.
Right.
Bruh, that doesn't do anything for anybody.
Just trying to tear us down.
Quit trying. You know what I fear? I fear that I mess up this recording again. I don't know if TikTok will only let me record for the time that I schedule. For a live, I'm gonna hold my fingers or cross my fingers.
I know. It's always a cross fingers game with me when I'm see if the TikTok is there for download.
I think all it's doing is just pushing us to do that other thing that we talked
about.
The
other thing, yeah. No, I'm with you.
I keep getting all this equipment keeps showing up at my house.
I mean, I have a thing.
So I have the tiny mic, but then I also have this wireless mic.
I want to get one of these.
Like this one?
Yeah, I think I like that.
This one is Bluetooth capable. And so I was thinking everybody just hold tight for a minute. can look at my walls.
It's not much.
We'll do like a little teaser and see if anybody can figure it out. So
Here we go.
look at these comments already. I've got this guy in here, right? And then I had this show up. These are nice headphones.
I got nice headphones.
Right. Oh, look at that. Oh, okay. And then I also had this show up too.
Ooh, very nice.
And then,
very nice.
Yeah, so I don't know, like maybe we'll figure something out to do with those things.
Yes, I think, there's a lot of opportunity and people who could learn, I know that you haven't set up a Patreon yet, right?
I have one. I don't have anything on it yet. What
okay.
what I would like to do, if I can figure out this fucking recording thing with the lives. Also, if you follow me anywhere, I swear like a trailer. I would like to put these up on my Patreon right now.
Yeah. I would say if you have a Patreon, go find Portia's Patreon. It doesn't matter, right? Like help. I like the idea of Patreon. I love tips and PayPal, but I feel like when you want to talk community, you want to like open up chat, you want to talk mentorship, like people are thinking we're mentors, sign up for a monthly, it's like more of a movement, not a moment versus like, I don't know. I like knowing, so I've got like 38, not a big number of patrons, but one, I know generally how much is going to come in. So how much I can maybe afford to spend on this type of activity.
Right.
Additional, buying these things. And it's just, do something personal. It should take an extra step.
Yeah, just a little something extra. I feel like we've got like a good thing going here.
We got a good thing going. We got a good thing. And that, we can harness it. We can keep growing it. And those who are on our Patreons will get behind the scenes. I'm thinking,
And that's what I want to do. I want to be able to, and you and I talked about this, but take what we do in our content and in our lives, and I don't have wedding rings, those aren't wedding rings, but have them in our lives, but then have it a little bit more structured, I guess. Yeah. Right? Or a way that we know that when we talk, it's going to be recorded and available somewhere. Because we talk about coming back to watch our videos and everything, but I feel like we really get into the nitty gritty when we talk like this. I mean, even when we just get together on Sundays when I'm cooking breakfast, we end up like a good conversation. So yeah, we should.
Yeah, we just we need a solid platform that will be more predictable. Because the finger crossing and hoping that the TikTok saves, because I've had to be like, there was a glitch, we didn't save it. That was an hour and a half worth of content that maybe would have been good for you to have one day, even if you don't do anything with it now. Yes. Yeah. We'll do something. Yeah, y'all, we have great chemistry together. I agree. We would definitely, but we'll definitely have to like make sure people know we're two different people, which I think will, because apparently, I mean, I'm okay.
I mean, we're both awesome.
I'm okay with the connection.
Yes, but we bring such different things. I love the fact that, and I've talked about it, we have very similar, like we're aligned in so many things, a lot of things, but the way that our experiences get us here are completely different. Like biracial Black woman, monoracial Black woman, Jewish Black woman, recovering Christian Black woman, gay, straight, like all of the different things. Like we're hitting a lot of different demographics, but they don't awkwardly come together either, right? It's not like we have, like, it's not a shtick that, oh, hey, you're the biracial girl, and oh, hey, I'm the lesbian.
Back to back.
Yeah.
Pictures like this.
Shut up. I'm going to Photoshop that together. No, I still have the one where we're in our onesies from that one Sunday morning. So
do I. I have it. I was just looking at it today. We're really cool. We're super TikTok age appropriate.
It is still great because we look like we were 75 years old.
I know.
With the kids.
I got my robe on. It's like a hoodie.
Hoodie.
Yes.
Okay, so stay tuned.
Yes. A sitcom photo would be amazing.
let's you know what? Both of us are bags. I think that we both forget to do this. I'm gonna actually text you this weekend and let's actually set a meeting.
Let's do it.
And let's talk about some stuff.
Let's
I think
talk
it's time.
about
I think that I feel like all the signs are pointing towards it's time.
Yeah. Clearly. I mean, look, this was a very solid. I appreciate y'all, and it was kind of like sprung on us.
Yeah.
Like a week later, and this has been really consistently.
It's been consistent.
Good.
And we did this one. Yeah, we did this one without any. Yes, there's homework. Read case. We did this one without topics either. It's just
right.
Just yeah. Put that back up there again.
Just Portia, what's your Patreon? Can they just search you like Portia?
I think so. Some people have been finding it.
Yeah.
I can see my notifications coming through. I think it's the same name. Yeah. I literally haven't done anything yet. You can
usually search. That's fine. Look, to me, like I didn't have anything on Patreon either, but I think it's a good way for people to support in a way that feels long term, and it's not a big burden right now. It's just $5 a month. You know, I
think. Well, you know what I think would be great? You talked about like reading the book. That would be a good Patreon thing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think that I'm going to maybe tomorrow or something. I'll record it because it needs to be done.
Yeah, it does.
And we need to have that conversation, but I don't want it on TikTok because.
Well, on TikTok we're so regulated by. Algorithm.
We're so regulated, but the people who are angry are so not regulated.
Yes.
That
yes.
I am like, what can I say? What do I say? Do I even want the hate that's going to be spewed at me between being a Black woman and a Jewish woman and not saying things nicely, you know? So Patreon is much safer for
it's me. One of those things. It's same thing with like kind of like a podcast is being able to have these conversations without all that shit coming at us, right?
Yes. Like and I can just say, I can read this book as it's meant to be read. I don't have to code words and stuff.
Right. And we have great mods here, but I don't ever want to get to the conversation, like the point where we have to mute comments just to be able to talk, because that's also bullshit.
Yeah, we could. We'll work it out. We could do a little balanceable. We could talk about what we're going to talk about, type of vibe. We can work through some things, and then I think
I like this.
We got it.
I like what's happening. We'll also schedule our next live because we can't. I don't think we can get this up. This is
amazing.
I might see you Sunday.
Yeah, I might see you.
Oh, also my schedule, my full-time job is changing. So as of the 14th, I don't work Sundays anymore. So that's more time for Sundays.
Oh, so you won't be able. You don't have to rush.
No. All right, I'm gonna go chill out. Thank you for being here. I love you. You know that.
Love you.
Thank you to our moderators that are phenomenal. Yeah. Thank you for being here and not being rude for everybody else. Yeah, and looking forward to processing offline. We gave you all a lot.
So much homework.
So much to think about. There's a book to buy. There's a book to read. There's some things to think about. There's so many things. We love you. We love you. We love you. Yes. I will announce the next time, and stay tuned for any other announcements. I love you. I'll talk to you this weekend.
Love you. Talk to you later. Bye.